Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Cassie and this video is going to be my 5-star predictions. So books that I have not read yet, that I would like to read, that I hope are going to be 5 stars. First up we have The Empire of Gold, which is the 3rd book in the Daevabad trilogy. And I'm going to tell you about the first book, since I'm not going to tell you about the 3rd book. That would just ruin everything. The first book is called The City of Brass. It is by S.A. Chakraborty. And it is about a woman named Nari that does not believe in magic, but somehow she summons a sly, dark, mysterious Djinn warrior to her side during one of her cons, and she's forced to accept that the magical world she thought only existed in childhood stories is real. And they end up traveling to the city of Daevabad, I think it's called. And in the city, behind gilded brass walls laced with enchantments, behind the 6 gates of the 6 Djinn tribes, old resentments are simmering. And when Nahari decides to enter this world, she learns that true power is fierce and brutal, that magic cannot shield her from the dangerous web of court politics, that even the cleverest of schemes can have deadly consequences. After all, there's a reason they say, be careful what you wish for. So that is The City of Brass. It is a very good book. I highly recommend reading the entire series. I know I haven't read the whole series yet. I don't know why I haven't. I think I've got some anxiety of what the ending is going to be like, so I haven't really read it yet, but I really do want to. It's a conundrum. Next we have Locklands, which is by Robert Jackson Bennett, and it is also the 3rd book in a trilogy, the first book being Foundryside. And this is about Sansia, who's a thief, and she is sent to steal an artifact that she doesn't know what it is, but apparently people want the artifact that she stole, and so they're trying to kill her, essentially, to get the artifact. And she has to learn how to use this artifact in order to survive. And I love the magic in this world. It's called scrivening. It's a very interesting magic system. So it's considered a sci-fi, but it's definitely got some fantasy elements in it. It's a really good series so far that I've read, so I also highly recommend it. Ashes of the Sun by Django Wexler is next. This is actually the first book in a series of The Burning Blade and Silver Eye. And its synopsis is: long ago, a magical war destroyed an empire and a new one was built in its ashes. But still the old grudges simmer, and 2 siblings will fight on opposite sides to save their world in the start of Django Wexler's new epic fantasy trilogy. J-Ray, I think it's J-Ray, G-Y-R-E, hasn't seen his beloved sister since their parents sold her to the mysterious Twilight Order. Now, 12 years after her disappearance, Jiri's sole focus is revenge, and he's willing to risk anything and anyone to claim enough power to destroy the Order. Chasing rumors of a fabled city protecting a powerful artifact, Jiri comes face to face with his lost sister, but she isn't who she once was. Trained to be a warrior, Maya wields magic for the Twilight Order's cause. Standing on opposite sides of a looming civil war, the 2 siblings will learn that not even the ties of blood will keep them from splitting the world in 2. It sounds very interesting, and I've heard a lot of people talk about it and say that they love it. It and the sequel. Both this one and the sequel are out, and in the trilogy, or not the trilogy, the 3rd book is coming out sometime in January, I think. So it's a good series to go ahead and start, since the 3rd book will be coming out soon, essentially. Has anybody watched The Witcher, the series on Netflix? There was a book series before it was a TV show. And the first book in the series is called The Blood of Elves. And it's by Andrzej Sapkowski. It's a very difficult name to pronounce. It's about Geralt of Rivia, the cunning assassin known as the Witcher, has been waiting for the birth of a prophesied child. This child has the power to change the world for good or for evil. As the threat of war hangs over the land and the child is hunted for her extraordinary powers, it will become Geralt's responsibility to protect them all, and the Witcher never accepts defeat. So, it's I've read the first 2 prequels to this book. Let me see. The Last Wish and The Sword of Destiny are the prequel books to the series. So I read both of them. They were very good. And I'm hoping that the series itself is going to be just as good. Next, we have The Hero of Ages, which is the 3rd book in the Mistborn saga. The first book being The Final Empire. And this series is by Brandon Sanderson. And it's pretty much for 1,000 years. There's been people that have been enslaved for 1,000 years because there was a war, and the bad guy won this war. So the people that were fighting against the Lord Ruler, who won, are now slaves. And in this world, the world is pretty much dead, and there's somebody that wants to overthrow the Lord Ruler naturally, but it's taken a very long time for this person to come around who might have success. He's gathered a bunch of other untrustworthy people to his side. Well, I say untrustworthy. They're trustworthy to him, but not to normal people. They're thieves and whatnot. And each of them shares, certain powers. The magic system in this is very interesting. It uses metals. And each metal that they have do certain things. You can pull or push in certain ways to do certain things. It's very interesting, the magic system. So that is The Final Empire. I highly recommend this series. Another series by Brandon Sanderson is The Way of Kings in the Stormlight Archive. I have not read any of the books in this series yet. Shame on me. The synopsis is Roshar is a world of stone and storms. Uncanny tempests of incredible power sweep across the rocky terrain so frequently that they have shaped ecology and civilization alike. Animals hide in shells, trees pull in branches, and grass retracts into the soilless ground. Cities are built only where the topography offers shelter. It has been centuries since the fall of the 10 consecrated orders known as the Knights Radiant, but their shard blades and shard plate remain, mystical swords and suits of armor that transform ordinary men into near invincible warriors. Men trade kingdoms for shard blades. Wars were fought for them and won by them. One such war rages on a ruined landscape called the Shattered Plains. There, Kaladin, who traded his medical apprenticeship for a spear to protect his little brother, has been reduced to slavery. In a war that makes no sense, where 10 armies fight separately against a single foe, he struggles to save his men and to fathom the leaders who consider them expendable. Bright Lord Dalinir Colin commands one of those other armies. Like his brother, the late king, he is fascinated by an ancient text called The Way of Kings. Troubled by overpowering visions of ancient times and the Knights Radiant, he has begun to doubt his own sanity. Across the ocean, An untried young woman named Shallan seeks to train under an eminent scholar and notorious heretic, Dalinir's niece, Jasna. Though she generally loves learning, Shallan's motives are less than pure. As she plans a daring theft, her research for Jasna hints at secrets of the Knights Radiant and the true cause of the war. The result of over 10 years of planning, writing, and world building. The Way of Kings is but the opening movement of the Stormlight Archive, a bold masterpiece in the making. Very long synopsis, but it sounds very interesting. Alright, we got 4 more to go. This one is Fireborn, and it is by Rosaria Munda. And the synopsis is Anna and Lean were just children when a brutal revolution changed their world, giving everyone, even the lowborn, a chance to test into the governing class of dragon riders. Now they are both rising stars in the new regime, despite backgrounds that couldn't be more different. Annie's lowborn family was executed by dragon fire, while Lee's aristocratic family was murdered by revolutionaries. Growing up in the same orphanage forged their friendship, and 7 years of training have made them rivals for the top position in the dragon riding fleet. But everything changes when survivors from the old regime surface, bent on reclaiming the city. With war on the horizon and its relationship with Annie changing fast, Lee must choose to kill the only family he has left or to betray everything he's come to believe in. And Annie must decide whether to protect the boy she loves or step up to be the champion her city needs. Next is Crown of Feathers. This is by Nikki Palpretto, and it is the first in the Crown of Feathers trilogy. In a world ruled by fierce warrior queens, a grand empire was built upon the backs of Phoenix Riders, legendary heroes who soared through the sky on wings of fire until a war between two sisters ripped it all apart. 16 years later, Veronica is a war orphan who dreams of becoming a Phoenix Rider from the stories of old. After a shocking betrayal from her controlling sister, Veronica strikes out alone to find the Riders, even if that means disguising herself as a boy to join their ranks. Just as Veronica finally feels like she belongs, her sister turns up and reveals a tangled web of lies between them that will change everything. And meanwhile, the new empire has learned of the Riders' return and intends to destroy them once and for all. Sometimes the title of Queen is given, sometimes it must be taken. It's got phoenixes in it, just like Fireborn has dragons in it. Yes, to this book. Next we have The River of Silver, Tales from the Day of Abad trilogy. This is by S.A. Chakraborty. And as far as I am aware, you definitely want to read this after you read the trilogy. And it is about three different stories from 3 different perspectives that take place during the trilogy itself. Somewhere within the trilogy, different characters, different stories. It sounds like fun. I'm very excited for it because I love the City of Brass and I love the Kingdom of Copper. And I know I'm going to love the Empire of Gold. I know I am. So this one is just icing on a cake. And lastly, we have the Martyr, I think it's called the Martyr, by Anthony Ryan. It is the second book so far in the Covenant of Steel series. The first book is called The Pariah. Born into the troubled kingdom of Albermain, Alwyn Scribe is raised as an outlaw. Quick of wit and deft with the blade, Alwyn is content with the freedom of the woods and the commandership of his fellow thieves. But an act of betrayal sets him on a new path, one of blood and vengeance, which eventually leads him to a soldier's life in the king's army. Fighting under the command of Lady Evadine Corlane, a noblewoman beset by visions of a demonic apocalypse, Alwyn must survive war and the deadly intrigues of the nobility if he hopes to claim his vengeance. But as dark forces, both human and arcane, gather to oppose Evadine's rise, Alwyn faces a choice. Can he be a warrior or will he always be an outlaw? It was a very good first book. Highly recommend reading it. And I really hope the Martyr is as good as the first one. And those are the 5-star predictions that I have so far. I'm sure that there are more. They haven't come out yet. And I'll just do a separate video to bring those into the world later. But I hope everybody is great. If you like this video, hit like. If you want to see more videos by me, hit subscribe. And have a good one.